There's some breaking news right now. We are following a car pursuit out of Van Nuys. Let's go to Mark at the desk. Mark, we just got on this right now. What do we know about this police pursuit?
Okay, so SkyCal coming up overhead. This is at Vesper and Hart in the Van Nuys area where this pursuit has largely remained for the better part of 20 minutes. SkyCal just getting overhead. LAPD says what they're chasing is that white Buick Enclave there. Now, we have at times heard that the want on this vehicle was that it was a code 37, which is the LAPD code for stolen vehicle. They've also described the driver as being what's called Code 6 Charles. Code 6 Charles is the LAPD code for a felony want, a felony criminal want of some kind. It's usually more of a generalized catch-all term for a felony suspect. In this particular case, they say the driver here is armed and dangerous. We have been hearing that multiple times on the LAPD scanners, particularly the LAPD Van Nuys division where this is taking place. They're warning the officers involved in this pursuit. They believe not only is this driver armed, that this driver may have multiple firearms in the vehicle. Now, that information apparently is coming from some sort of a victim who is communicating that to LAPD. I've got the assignment desk in the newsroom working on calling LAPD Van Nuys division to find out exactly what kind of a victim and how that victim would know that this driver has multiple firearms in the car. Either way, we are seeing some behavior right now from this driver in the Van Nuys area going in a very tight circle. It appears to be around the same block. I'm watching this along with the crew of SkyCal. It looks like to me this driver just made 4 right turns. So they may be orbiting this area here. Now, there's an LAPD helicopter overhead, and while we don't see any lights and sirens behind this vehicle right now, they are there. LAPD has not yet gone into what's called tracking or surveillance mode. This is still a pursuit with lights and sirens. I believe that those LAPD officers from Van Nuys Division are just a little bit behind. But you can see, Amy and Chris, some pretty dangerous driving here, pretty high speeds, really ignoring traffic. And of course, LAPD very concerned by the strong possibility that this driver may have multiple firearms in this vehicle. We don't have any reports of any shots being fired yet. But again, this is a concern for LAPD.
This has been really, aggressive driving on residential streets, on these surface streets, Mark. And so often when we are watching a pursuit, the car has very dark tinted windows. We can't see if anybody else is in the car with this person. We have heard, in fact, that there is someone that may have a gun inside this vehicle. And of course, officers that are following this driver, they need to act as if this person is armed and dangerous because they are getting some reports as such. But really aggressive driving. It's early in the morning. The lights and sirens aren't close behind this car, which makes it even more dangerous because people don't hear this pursuit coming. They don't know that it's coming up so quickly behind them, but officers are backing off, hoping that your driver will slow down. But that is not the case this time around. This person continues to drive very aggressively. We see right now on the wrong side of the road around that fire truck.
Yeah, what's interesting is Mark was talking about how this person keeps making right turns. Well, this all started near the intersection of Van Owen and Noble. That's where Valley Presbyterian Hospital is. And as you can see right now, still not too far from that location. But it does appear that LAPD, they are the ones that are on this. They have pulled back because oftentimes what we see, Mark, is they'll be driving too aggressively in the middle of daylight, and they have to pull back for safety of everyone else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you mentioned Valley Presbyterian Hospital. I was just going to say, I've been hearing that name about very tight move right there. And you can see an even more aggressive actions by this driver. Again, still orbiting in this general area. We are close to Valley Presbyterian Hospital. I've heard LAPD speak about that hospital several times on the radio, including just a few minutes ago when an officer said, I'm going to return to Valley Presbyterian Hospital to contact the victim. So that may be where the victim of some kind of a crime involving the driver of this car is currently there. It's just most of the radio traffic, including the air unit and the officers on the ground, are focused on getting this driver into custody. So they really haven't been communicating that much about exactly what kind of crime may have precipitated this pursuit. But, you can see this very dangerous driving. This driver has been on the wrong side of the road multiple times. We just saw it a few minutes ago. And again, right here with SkyCal, going around traffic, completely ignoring any of the other rules of the road at very high speeds. And there is still LAPD Van Nuys units behind. They're just about a block behind. That's just this pursuit stance that they're doing. And there's a pedestrian right now that may have to thankfully that car made a right turn and did not go through those pedestrians.
Yeah, but just, such high rates of speed on these small surface streets, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, people are not expecting a car to be, flying through their neighborhood right in front of these homes and apartment buildings. A lot of people are out and about. It's summertime. Lots of kids are out of school. People are on, break, and they're home and just not expecting a car to just come barreling down their street.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out who this victim is, how that person's doing as well. A little speed hump right there. Obviously not even slowing down for that, but this driver keeps on going. Now, we don't see the LAPD officers right behind him, but we did see earlier, we could see the LAPD chopper from above, obviously monitoring where this person's going, but they're not going too far. They're staying in this same area from where this started in Van Nuys. And, as Mark said, it started as a code 37, so that means it's a stolen vehicle. That's the initial want for this, but definitely some driving that is not slowing down. And at 10 o'clock, people are, out on the road, going to work, going to an early lunch. It's a busy time.
Yes,
in the opposite direction right now.
Yeah, they've gone, but you can see there in the middle of the road, these intersections are just so dangerous because they're flying through the lights, making very aggressive turns, Mark, and it's tough to watch because we know how dangerous this is for everyone that's on the road right now.
Yeah, and as you and Chris were discussing, I've been listening to, now there are multiple units being asked to respond to Valley Presbyterian Hospital in relation to this pursuit. They're asking for at least 2 or 3 officers there. So whatever the connection is, it's strong enough that they want multiple officers there in order to coordinate whatever kind of crime scene investigation is happening there, or at least talk to somebody there that has information regarding this. So we are still trying to get some more confirmed information from the LAPD headquarters about that. But I want to also mention that it appears that this driver does want to stay in this area. There has been no freeway component yet to this pursuit. The entire pursuit for about the last 25 minutes has been entirely on the surface streets in the area of Van Nuys, in particular right around here, Van Nuys Boulevard, Kester, right in this general area. I can see the LAPD air unit is simply staying within basically a 5 or 6 block radius around Sherman Way and Sepulveda, as far south as maybe Kittredge and as far east as perhaps Hazeltine, and that's it. So this driver, if this is now for the first time that we've seen them stay on major surface streets here on Van Nuys Boulevard for any longer than just a few minutes, and now again making a turn, apparently desiring to stay in this area. We don't know how many other people are in this car. They've only discussed the driver of this white Buick Enclave, no one else, but again, very concerned about the amount of firearms that are potentially inside with that driver. And of course, the dangerous driving like we're witnessing right here.
Yeah, look how fast they're going, 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. This is through, a busy road.
There's people right there on the road.
I mean, it's summertime. I mean, you said it right. I mean, this is a time where families out, kids are out. And then...
Ooh, there's somebody backing up. They didn't make that turn because there was a car right there.
And in this area, you could see a lot more pedestrians.
Oh, my goodness. Look at this.
If you know anyone who lives in this area, definitely give them a heads up because, LAP is a little closer right now, but, they could come up on you at any point not knowing that this person is aggressive. Are they on drugs? Are they impaired? Who knows? But obviously... something is not going right in that car.
Well, and they had backed off because oftentimes that will slow the driver down because they don't feel like the cops are right there on their tail. But even with backing off of this driver, they did not slow down. So now the cruisers there are coming up a little closer. And still, this driver making very aggressive turns, hasn't gone too far from this area. And we know that all pursuits are dangerous, but the ones on the highway are a little less dangerous because you don't have all of those intersections. You don't have the pedestrians. You don't have the stop signs. You don't have the stoplights. Everyone's going at a pretty high rate of speed, everyone in the same direction. But this driver just continues to blow through stop signs and has not slowed down really at all.
Yeah, oftentimes what we see with this is, they'll pull back in hopes that the driver will, start to slow down a little bit. But Mark, you got something new?
Yeah, really interesting bit of radio traffic that I'm hearing on the LAPD Van Nuys division. One of the officers involved in this pursuit, not the lead officer, but one of the officers in second or third car said, hey, units that are at Valley Presbyterian Hospital, if you are with the victim, please ask the victim to call the driver involved in this pursuit and ask that driver to pull over. So it is very likely here that we are dealing with a victim and a suspect that may know each other. So again, that's just sort of a clue that we've sort of been able to ascertain from the radio traffic that LAPD is discussing, that perhaps that this victim and the driver know each other, certainly because officers are asking that victim to perhaps intervene here and call the driver to say, hey, it's time to surrender. That may mean that this may be a domestic type situation, or at least at the very least we know that perhaps the victim some way has the phone number of the driver of this vehicle.
Yeah, sometimes that works and then sometimes they, continue on. But in this case, I mean, the fact that they are staying in that same area, that definitely says a lot that they don't want to go too far. They could be having a mental health episode and not, their brain isn't figuring out what to do, where they need to go next. But this is a frightening one. Once again, through this neighborhood, we've seen speeds up to 60 plus miles an hour in this residential neighborhood, and that's scary, especially considering this is a time that people, for the most part, are awake and out.
Well, and we've seen so many people just out, pedestrians on the sidewalks, in the intersections, and it's just so dangerous when this car is coming so fast and they aren't aware that someone's going to be, flying up so quickly. You're just not prepared for that. And we're watching as another intersection going right through it, another turn here, and still staying very close to the same area.
Yeah, and Amy and Chris, the one thing that I want to note here, that we've seen this driver do some very aggressive moves, including hard on the acceleration, hard on the brakes, very sharp turns. The longer that this goes on, there's a very real chance of driver fatigue happening here. Yeah. Most drivers, I would say 99% of drivers on the road, do not engage in extremely aggressive behavior like this, where you're hard on the brakes, hard on the gas. That is hard not only on the car, but also on the body of the driver. The longer they do this, the more likelihood that they're even just going to experience the fatigue of driving, that they're going to make a mistake. And because this is on surface streets with so many people around, LAPD knows the longer they let this go on with this aggressive driving, the more the likelihood this could end in disaster. And I can hear that the air unit and the ground units are discussing ways to bring this pursuit to an end. It doesn't appear that a pit maneuver is likely going to happen just because of the high speeds here and the number of cars on the road in the San Fernando Valley. We're talking 10, 15. This is after rush hour, but there is still lots of commerce and traffic out there, pedestrians, people going about their business here in the very central part of Van Nuys. So they may talk about doing some spike strips, which could come into play as this driver does appear to want to keep making these right turns on these very familiar streets. This is one place where spike strips could be an effective deterrent, because LAPD officers can get into position and put those spike strips down, because it seems this driver does want to stay in this area.
Yeah, because the 405 is not too far, so if they wanted to get onto the freeway, they absolutely could. But like you said, they're not. But it's interesting that you're talking about the driver fatigue, because when you think about if you're rushing somewhere or doing something, obviously, if you've been doing it for a long time, it's going to get to you. And, you just got to hope that the fatigue kicks in a little sooner than later.
But unfortunately, that fatigue oftentimes leads to a crash.
Yeah.
And these officers that are trained for pursuits, they even switch off. The same officer will not be that lead officer for long, and they will switch off and get to take a little bit of a break, because it is very mentally taxing, physically taxing. I mean, you're dodging a lot of other cars, you're making those turns, you're trying to make sure that you are choosing the right road also, because you don't want to end up in a dead end street. So you're really focused here. And this driver really being still so aggressive and going through another intersection, got a large truck there, and again, another aggressive turn.
Yeah, we keep seeing that same restaurant too.
Yeah, they keep going in circles. They want to stay in this area. You don't know if it's because they want to try to jump out, if they're trying to get back to that person who's at the hospital. It's hard to say why they don't want to get out of this area, but
fast.
80 miles an hour in the middle of the road there.
Yeah, this is a turn lane, just extremely dangerous. And we're also hearing radio traffic indicating that this driver several times has actually taken their eyes off the road to reach into the back seat of this white Buick Enclave. So it's very likely the air unit, with their very good camera, they're a lot lower than SkyCal, they're able to see this. But in addition to this extremely dangerous driving, this driver is reaching behind him in this car, which is just, adding distracted driving, which is essentially what it is. They don't have their eyes on the road. In addition to these high speeds, is just so wildly dangerous. And again, we're seeing examples right through red lights, right through intersections, and then now hard on the brakes.
What's happening here?
Unclear where this driver's going. Now reversing in lanes.
Oh, wow.
Extremely dangerous, perhaps going into this parking lot. The ground units are not close here behind. They're a couple of blocks away.
That's a Walgreens right there, right?
I believe it is a Walgreens. It's either a Walgreens or a CVS. The air unit is directly overhead and calling out, narrowly missing a pedestrian here. Basically cut through that parking lot to get around the traffic.
And obviously not intentionally trying to hit any of those pedestrians, as we saw right there. But as we know, most times these end up in crashes that we see, and there are the rare occurrences where a pedestrian is hit and unfortunately is killed by this, and that's what we don't want to see in this area.
Exactly, and those cruisers are right behind. They've gotten up a little bit closer to this car, but still continuing to go on these same roads, still keeping up very high rates of speed. This is really fast on these small surface streets and so dangerous, just going on the wrong side of the road. Again, we continue to see these intersections where they're just blowing through the intersection, not stopping at the stop signs, making more right turns, Mark. I mean, they just keep going in the same areas.
And it's only a matter of time before something happens. And that's kind of the reality of it. It's wrong time, wrong place. And this person, we don't know if there's other people inside the car. As Mark mentioned, that person appears to be reaching to the back seat. Maybe that's why they continue swerving. But obviously, what this seafood restaurant that we see right here.
Kester Avenue.
Yeah, it's been the fifth time since we've seen that. Circles and circles and circles again. So, when it comes to this, LAPD is probably looking at what this person is doing. How are they going to move forward with this? Are they going to put spike strips, to make him slow down? At this point, we haven't seen those yet.
Well, there's so many other cars on the road. It's hard to do those spike strips when there's so many other cars on the road, and this driver just going way too fast for the pit maneuver, Mark.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Discussing the number of people in this car, have not heard any sort of discussion of any other people in this car except for the driver, including the request for more ground units. A lot of times, if LAPD suspects that there might be more than just the driver in the car, they will ask for additional units on the possibility that we've seen so many times. Pursuits stop. People in the car go in every different direction. They want to have enough officers there to handle that. In this particular case, we've heard no reference to needing more officers for that. For a second there, I thought that was a freeway on-ramp, but it's not. We're continuing on Sherman Circle and Galt Street. This continues to be in basically the same area. Yep. And again, very dangerous driving, real disregard for other drivers on the road, and always hard on the gas whenever they make a turn. They accelerate, but really it does not appear that there's any purpose or direction to where this driver is going. So it's very possible that we may have a situation here where this driver is trying to figure things out. They have no goal in mind. They're just trying to get away at this point.
Yeah.
And that circle, very close there with the other car. The circle seems in many ways to be getting smaller because it seems like that loop has really shrunk. We keep seeing the same streets, the Sherman Way, Kester Avenue, just keeps going in the same circles, which could help with officers putting down a spike strip, but I just think that there's just so many other cars out there this morning that it's tough to do that. But, not impossible. We know anything is possible, and so they could, try to close off those streets a little bit and get that spike strip down. We just saw a left-hand turn, which we haven't seen many of those, so maybe spreading out a little bit, but still just such a dangerous pursuit that is still going on. It's been going on for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, and that driver has to be getting fatigued.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're just watching this right now, this all started in Van Nuys, Van Noen and Noble, the intersection right there. That's near the Valley Presbyterian Hospital. We're told that this is a code 37. So what that means is the suspect it has a stolen vehicle. So the initial one is for that vehicle. And we've been talking to Mark, and Mark has been telling us that there is some sort of victim at that hospital that the police are hoping that the victim calls the suspect to, get this person to pull over. But we do believe the person's armed, obviously armed with the vehicle. And we've been seeing erratic driving, speeds up to 90 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh, wrong side of the road. Look at this. Wrong side of the road, splitting between those lanes. Oh, so dangerous.
We are less than a half a mile now from Valley Presbyterian Hospital. Valley Pres is near the intersection of Sepulveda and Van Owen, and we just went through Van Owen and Kester. So that's essentially 1 block away. This driver apparently continuing to float around the area of the hospital that we believe now this is basically, it started very, very close there. I believe that Van Owen and Noble is that's actually the entrance to Valley Presbyterian Hospital. The pursuit started at Van Owen and Noble. That's the parking structure there. There's a little bridge that extends over the intersection of Van Owen and Noble, how you get from the parking lot to Valley Pres. And that's where this call was generated here for the want on this Code 6 Charles suspect, which is a wanted felony suspect in a Code 37 vehicle. So it's very likely that the start of this pursuit involved some kind of a crime where the victim of this crime is still at the hospital. We're trying to get some more clarification. Now, wrong side of the road again at Van Owen and Kester as we continue to circle this area right near the hospital. This
is just so dangerous. Watching this driver just really is so aggressive on the wrong side of the road and just so dangerous. You see these same people are outside. They're getting video because this driver keeps going in the same circles. And so the people are just waiting for this driver to come back around because it's been, you know, every few minutes we're going to see another maybe left turn. Yep, same turn that was made before.
You know, we're known for our pursuits in Southern California, but you don't usually see a situation where the suspect stays in that same area. You may see a pursuit fly by you, but you don't see it.
Same turn again.
Yeah, you don't see it come back several times over and over again. And you know, that's probably not the safest thing to do because all it takes is one drive. Okay, this person
stopping in the middle of the road.
And there they are. They've stopped.
Okay,
this is very dangerous.
I wonder if there was a spike strip up front.
I don't know what happened there.
Why they chose to back up, but it makes me think maybe there was something up there like a spike strip. Because he was doing the same circle over and over. It was a perfect opportunity to put down a spike strip.
I mean, if this person was impaired, that was some excellent driving and getting out of that situation.
Now, remember, anytime a vehicle can be considered a deadly weapon, and reversing towards officers can be seen as assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. In this particular case, no contact was made, so LAPD might not add that to the list of charges happening here, but the closer the driver gets to striking an LAPD patrol car with their own vehicle adds to the likelihood that this becomes assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer, which intensely ratchets up the danger and the risk involved here, as LAPD will now consider this driver as someone that is willing to harm police officers to get away. So this is something that this driver certainly should not attempt to do at any time, striking a police officer with their vehicle or a patrol vehicle, even backing up, even tapping it can be considered an assault with a deadly weapon. So we saw something very similar, very close here. Thankfully, that did not happen.
Is that Idaho license plate?
Yes. The other thing that I want to mention is that they were able to get the license plate off of this car, and they did describe it as an Idaho plate. So they're not going to be able to get that information from the California DMV, but it's very likely if they need to identify this driver or at least the registered owner of this vehicle, they can certainly call law enforcement in Idaho to get that. But yeah, it's not a California plate.
Yeah, and apparently, Mark, we did contact the Valley Presbyterian Hospital for more information. They say they're not aware of any stolen vehicle or armed suspect, but of course, they're going to let police handle the investigation. I'm sure as the day goes on, they're going to have to answer to something because obviously something happened in this area if police are being called to that hospital.
But they have to be very careful, the hospital, with the HIPAA laws, and they can't really talk about their patients and who's being treated at the hospital. It's
also possible that LAPD is simply using Valley Presbyterian Hospital as a landmark for where this crime may have happened. If it happened on the sidewalk outside of Valley Presbyterian Hospital, it wouldn't involve the hospital, but LAPD certainly could describe it as happening at Valley Press if it happened on the sidewalk outside. So it's just shorthand for officers to be able to use that as a landmark to get there. Again, we're seeing very dangerous driving here. SkyCal zooming in with their excellent camera there. You can see certainly a driver. Didn't look like anybody was in the passenger seat, and LAPD officers right behind this car. This is as close as we have seen them now, Amy and Chris, in this pursuit. It looks like this may be an attempt at a change in tactics to hopefully get this driver to bring this to an end. LAPD may be considering the possibility of a pit maneuver if these streets remain empty. The speeds are just about the right speed now. They usually need to do that pit maneuver on 25 to 35 miles an hour, but certainly not on a crowded street like this. This is Van Owen and Cedros, again, just about a half a mile from the hospital.
Okay, where did the vehicle go?
It's right behind that building there.
Okay, so it looks like it's slowing down.
And you have to wonder why.
Okay,
you can see the hand there over on the passenger side. Oh, there's somebody out there on the street.
Why is that woman that close? That's dangerous.
Yeah, that was unclear if that was a pedestrian. It looked like someone in civilian clothes holding a phone.
Yes.
Unclear if this person is maybe involved. I mean, this is very, very close.
Yeah, you
can see her. Car finally stopping.
So I'm wondering if there is a relationship between them, but I mean, who knows? The fact that they're finally coming out.
Yeah, doors open.
Okay, hands up.
Now we're finally seeing, hopefully, the driver's side door opening. The hands of the driver coming out. LAPD would like to see the keys come out. It looks like maybe something was thrown out of the car. It's unclear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like now we are seeing someone coming out with their hands up. This is a very good sign.
And their hood is on. They kind of use the, look like the call me sign.
Yeah, the LAPD would prefer that this person face away from them, and now it looks like this driver is complying as they are asked to walk backwards with their hands over their head. The very next thing, we may see them down on their knees or on flat on their stomach as LAPD brings this person into custody. It looks like they are complying now.
Yes, we see the less than lethal weapons out, but we also see that woman who was, she was at the bottom side there of the screen, that woman who was in the middle of the street when this stopped. She had her phone out, there she is, with some other people. And because this driver was staying in the area, it may be near their home. It might be, you know, sometimes a family member or a friend, they try to get to that person. And that's the woman right there in the brown. Looks like maybe there's some design on their shirt. She was the one that was out in the middle of the street. We don't know if she knows this driver, but she was the one in the middle of the street there at the end.
I wonder if she was just a spectator and got really close, because if that was a family member, you usually wouldn't be recording it unless you're recording the police officers, which we see a lot of nowadays too. So
yeah,
you're right about that.
They do try to
This
let them know.
This could have been really, really bad. This is the best case scenario.
Exactly. I mean, this is exactly what officers want. They want the driver to stop. They still need to check and see if there's anybody else in that car.
Yeah, and also they're going to take their time with this circumstance because they know they have information that there were firearms in this vehicle. So they want to make absolutely sure that they approach this in the safest way possible. And you're going to see a team move up here now on the right side of your screen. They're going to check that car before they move up and arrest that driver. They're going to clear that car. When they arrest that driver, they're going to have officers with their hands full doing handcuffing and searching of that suspect. They want to make sure that there is absolutely no one in the car before they put officers in that position where they're going to have to kneel down and take that driver into custody, which is happening right now.
This guy's going to be locked up for a long time, considering all that we saw and all those close calls. And I mean, the fact that he did this maybe for like 50 minutes, that's a long time.
Yeah, well, it certainly put a lot of people in danger, and they are getting a good look inside that car now, even checking the trunk, making sure that this car is completely clear, and you're seeing they're putting their weapons away. The car is clear, and that person is being lifted up and taken to a nearby car there, but certainly a dangerous pursuit that ended in the best way possible with that driver just pulling over. It was about 40 minutes that this one went on.
How far is that from where it initially started?
It's still very Van Owen and Cedros. We kept seeing him go down the same street over and over right in this area. So,
yeah,
you know, sometimes you wonder if they want to be able to jump out and run into their home to try to get away.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the map, I just mapped it out from the intersection of Van Owen and Noble, where this pursuit began, to here where it ended at Van Owen and Cedros is 0.6 miles.
Yeah.
So half a mile, very, very close. Really, this entire pursuit did not go much further than a mile to a mile and a half from the hospital at best. Stayed right here in this area of Van Nuys, and now as it comes to an end, we do see that hoodie has been taken down. It does appear to be a man, an adult man there, and he does appear to be talking to police, not really resisting arrest in any way. And it did appear that car was cleared. It did look like there was a case in the back of the car. Unclear what was inside that case. It looked like it had a logo on it, but no one else in the car, so they're going to be clearing that and calling this a code 4 here at Van Owen and Cedros.
That was a wild pursuit.
And again, really the best case scenario that this ended with that driver stopping. So many close calls, running those stop signs and making such aggressive turns, and, you know, driving on the wrong side of the road. We know how dangerous that could certainly be. We're watching as they're putting all those items in the bag, Mark. Are you seeing this as to what's happening there? They're putting a number of items in plastic
Things
bags.
from his pocket, it looks
Yeah,
like.
this looks like probably evidence collection
I
that
didn't
they're
know if
taking
you could
care
see
of
what they
right
were
here.
taking.
So whatever the suspect had in their pockets, they're certainly not going to allow that person to go into the back of the patrol car with anything at all in their pockets. This is a standard operating procedure to place all of that in an evidence bag. So that's probably what we're seeing there. It didn't appear to me that any of those were firearms, but I didn't get a very good look at it. And certainly they're going to search that car for any firearms there. Yeah, this is that looks like a standard evidence bag that they are. They're
I was
showing
just wondering
the
if you
suspect.
saw a gun or anything, any type of weapon as they were putting in. It looks like a cell phone and some other items from his pockets, but I could not see any type of firearm. But again, they are going through that car. You see he just put some kind of bag or case there on the ground.
That's the case
that's
camera,
when
yeah.
you were talking about, Mark.
Yeah, it looks like there's lots of stuff back there. Shopping bags, maybe a duffel bag, some other things here. They're really going through the back of that car. They're lifting up the false bottom there. I believe that's where the spare tire is usually located on some cars. They're taking a look in there. So they may be searching for other kinds of evidence that is pertinent right now to this pursuit. But that suspect going to probably very likely Van Nuys Division Jail or perhaps the Metropolitan Detention Center downtown to be booked on multiple felony charges at this point.
Oh, what a wild, wild pursuit. Glad it came to an end and everyone is okay. Of course, we're going to learn more about this pursuit as the day goes on, so make sure to stay here with KCAL News. But for now, we'll be right back.